Cheating in the city of angels betrayed in the heat of the night. That night, the ocean roared like a chained beast, each wave crashing against the jagged cliffs of Haven Bay, Oregon, echoing like a scream from the underworld. I stood by the window of my weathered wooden cabin, a glass of red wine in hand, staring at the storm tearing through the small town. The wind howled through the cracks, rattling the glass panes, carrying the icy breath of the sea. I wasn't afraid. I'd never been scared of storms. But tonight, I felt something else. A fiercer storm churning inside me, stirring emotions I'd buried long ago. I'm Emily Harper, 42, once a novelist with a few best-selling books, now reduced to scribbling private journal entries no one will ever read. Haven Bay is where I fled 10 years ago, leaving behind Seattle and the wreckage of a broken marriage. My ex-husband, Daniel, didn't cheat or fight. We simply drifted into strangers, like two waves passing on the open sea. I told myself I was fine, that I loved the solitude of this cabin perched on the cliff's edge, where I could hear the ocean's growl every night. But deep down, I knew I was lying. This house wasn't a sanctuary, it was a prison, where I locked away my heart, shutting out relationships, pain, and the world. Haven Bay is a small town where everyone knows each other's names. Old Joe sells fish at the docks, young Lily delivers newspapers every morning, and Martha at the general store always asks about my next book, though. I never answer honestly. I craved isolation, didn't want anyone stepping into my world. But tonight, as thunder ripped the sky and lightning lit the horizon, I felt a void in my chest. A strange premonition stirred like fate was drawing near, bringing something I couldn't escape. My cabin sat at the end of a rocky path, far from the town's cluster of homes, facing the endless ocean. Tonight, the lighthouse's beam flickered weakly in the distance, as if the storm might swallow it whole. I took a sip of wine, its bitterness sliding down my throat. Just another night, I whispered to myself. But I knew this night was different. Something waited out there, in the dark. Knock, knock, knock. The sound cut through the cabin's silence, sharp and urgent, startling me. The wineglass trembled in my hand, a few red drops nearly spilling over the rim. My heart pounded, threatening to leap from my chest. Who could be here in the middle of the night, in this storm? Haven Bay was a place where doors locked before dusk, especially when the weather raged like a monster. I set the glass on the table, moving toward the door with slow, heavy steps. The wind screamed outside, slipping cold, damp air through the cracks. I pressed my ear to the wooden door, listening. Nothing but the rain hammering the roof and the distant crash of waves. Maybe it's just the wind, I told myself, or a branch blown against the door. But then, knock, 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 louder this time, desperate. "Emily!" A deep, hoarse voice broke through the storm's roar. I froze. That voice. It was familiar, but I couldn't place it. Without thinking, I twisted the knob and yanked the door open. A blast of freezing wind rushed in, carrying rain that stung my face, plastering my hair to my cheeks. Standing in the doorway, framed by the flickering lightning, was a man. He was drenched, his leather jacket slick with water, dark hair plastered to his forehead. His eyes deep blue, haunting as the ocean locked onto mine, carrying a pain he couldn't hide. "Jack?" I blurted, my voice faltering. Jack Sullivan, a man I'd only seen a few times at Rusty Anchor, the local coffee shop. He lived alone in a small house near the harbour, always quiet, like a ghost drifting through town. We'd never spoken much, just exchanged nods. I only knew he sat in the corner, reading newspapers, avoiding eye contact. "Emily, I'm sorry to bother you," Jack said, his voice rough, breath forming white puffs in the frigid air. My car broke down on the road and my phone's dead. I didn't know where else to go. Something in his eyes chilled me. Not fear, but a strange intensity, as if he wasn't just escaping the storm. Part of me wanted to slam the door, but another part, curious, lonely, won out. I opened the door wider. "Come in." Jack hesitated for a second, then stepped across the threshold, bringing with him the scent of rain and salt water. I closed the door, shutting out the howling wind. The small living room felt smaller now, as if Jack's presence filled every corner. Water dripped from his jacket, pooling on the hardwood floor. I handed him a dry towel and pointed to the armchair by the fireplace. "Sit. I'll get you something hot." The fireplace crackled, flames dancing, casting shadows on the walls and warming the chill from the storm outside. I returned with 2 steaming mugs of coffee, placing one in front of Jack. He'd shed his jacket, revealing a grey sweater that hugged his solid frame. Jack was about 50, his face angular with faint crow's feet, but he carried the quiet allure of someone who'd weathered life's storms, not flashy, but steady, like a man who'd seen too much. "You okay?" I asked, settling into the chair across from him. The firelight played across his face, highlighting those deep blue eyes, but they seemed to hide something. Jack sipped the coffee, then nodded. "Just a rough night. Thanks for letting me in." We started talking, at first about small things, how bad the storm was, whether Haven Bay often lost power. But slowly, the conversation deepened. I shared how I came here after my divorce, how I thought the ocean could heal me, but only made me lonelier. Jack listened, never interrupting, his eyes gentle but understanding. "Have you ever felt like you're running from yourself?" Jack asked suddenly, his voice low. I froze, the coffee mug suddenly heavy in my hands. "Every day," I whispered. "You?" Jack stared into the fire, as if searching for answers in the flames. "I was a construction engineer in Chicago," he began. "Good job, big house, plenty of friends. But it all fell apart when my wife Anna died in a car accident 5 years ago. After that, Chicago wasn't home anymore. Every street, every bar reminded me of her. So I came here, thinking the ocean might help me forget." His words hit a nerve deep inside me. I gripped my mug tighter, keeping my voice steady. "Did it?" Jack gave a sad smile. "Not really, but it gave me time to think." In that moment I felt a strange connection, like we were 2 lost souls who'd stumbled across each other in the storm. But then, as Jack leaned down to pick up the towel that had slipped to the floor, I glimpsed something in his jacket pocket, a corner of yellowed paper, like an old letter. My pulse quickened. Jack wasn't telling me everything, and I couldn't shake the unease creeping up my spine. It was late, but sleep was impossible. Jack sat by the fire, his gaze fixed on the flames, while I pretended to read a book to mask the curiosity gnawing at me. His jacket hung on the rack near the door, and that yellowed paper haunted me. I wasn't one to snoop, but instinct told me it mattered, that it might explain why Jack showed up here, in the middle of a stormy night. When Jack stepped onto the porch to grab more firewood, I seized my chance. My hands shook as I reached into his jacket pocket. It was a letter, the envelope faded with time, inscribed with, "To Emily Harper, from Anna Mitchell." My heart stopped. Anna Mitchell, a name I'd tried to erase. Anna, my best friend in college, the light in my darkest days. We'd lost touch after I left Seattle. and I'd never forgiven myself for letting her slip away. I tore open the envelope, knowing I shouldn't. Inside was a handwritten note, Anna's sharp script unchanged by years. Emily, if you're reading this, Jack's probably found you. I don't know where to begin, but I owe you an apology. We drifted apart, and that's on me. But there's something you need to know. Jack's not a stranger. He met you long before he met me in Seattle. I think deep down he's never forgotten you. Take care of him, Emily, and please forgive me. I folded the letter, my mind reeling. Jack met me. When? Why would Anna write this? When Jack returned, carrying the scent of rain and damp wood, I hid the letter behind my back, but his eyes seemed to see right through me. Emily, you okay? He asked, his voice low, concerned. I nodded, but my heart screamed. Jack Sullivan wasn't just a stranger fleeing a storm. He carried a secret one I was determined to uncover. Morning came, and the storm had passed, leaving a clear blue sky and broken branches scattered along the rocky path to town. Jack stayed, sitting at the kitchen table with a coffee I'd brewed. I hadn't mentioned the letter, but it weighed on me like a stone. I couldn't keep pretending nothing was wrong. Jack, I said, my voice sharper than intended. Who was Anna to you? He froze, a flicker of pain and surprise in his eyes. You know? I pulled the letter from my pocket, placing it on the table, my gaze never leaving him. I found this. Tell me the truth, Jack. Why are you here? Jack took a deep breath, as if bracing for a plunge into the abyss. Anna was my wife, he began, his voice steady but heavy. She died 5 years ago in a car accident. But before she passed, she told me about you, Emily Harper, her best friend from college. She said you were lost, like me. She wanted me to find you so we could help each other. I stepped back, feeling the floor give way beneath me. Help each other? I nearly shouted. Anna abandoned me, Jack. She never reached out after I left Seattle, and now she sends you here for what? To make amends? Jack shook his head, his eyes brimming with pain. Not amends, Emily. Anna said you were the only one who could understand me. And there's more. I met you 15 years ago, in Seattle, at the Blue Haven bar. I wanted to talk to you, but you left before I could say anything. My eyes widened, memories crashing like waves. That rainy night, a man with deep blue eyes watching me from across the bar. I'd walked away, too scared to let anyone in. That was Jack? I felt breathless, unsure what to believe. So you came here for Anna or for me? I asked, my voice trembling. Jack met my gaze, unflinching. At first, for Anna. But now I'm here for you. His words cut like a knife, both painful and tender. I turned away, hiding the tears welling up. Anna, Jack, and we were bound by an invisible thread, and I didn't know if I had the strength to face it. Days passed, and I tried to resume my routine, but Jack's words echoed in my mind. I noticed him more how he stood silently by the harbour, staring at the sea like he was waiting for something. How he dodged strangers' glances passing Rusty Anchor. Something was off, and I couldn't shake the unease. One morning, I went to Rusty Anchor for coffee. The place was busier than usual, filled with the hum of conversation and the aroma of fresh bread and roasted beans. I was in line when I overheard old Joe, the owner, talking to a stranger. The man wore a black coat, his voice cold and precise. "You know a guy named Jack Sullivan?" the stranger asked, his eyes scanning the room. "Heard he's around here?" Joe shrugged, unfazed. Never heard of him. Why are you looking? The man smirked, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Just personal business. My heart raced. I ducked my head, pretending to check my phone to hide my panic. When the man left, I hurried home, my mind a mess. What was Jack running from? A debt? A crime? I thought of his eyes that first night. Not just grief, but wariness, like a hunted animal. That evening, I invited Jack for dinner, but not for warmth. I needed answers. When he walked in, carrying the scent of salt and cold wind, I cut to the chase. Someone was asking about you at Rusty Anchor today, I said, my voice shaking with anger and fear. Who are you hiding from, Jack? Jack froze, his face paling, those blue eyes flashing with panic. What did you hear? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Enough to know you're keeping something from me, I shot back, struggling to keep my voice steady despite my pounding heart. Tell me, Jack, or I'm calling the police. He sat down, hands clenched on the table, as if holding back a tidal wave. After a silence that felt like forever, he spoke. In Chicago, I worked for a big construction firm, Grayson Enterprises. There was a project. A mistake. A building collapsed during construction. 3 people died. I didn't cause it, but I knew what happened. The company cut corners, used cheap materials to save money. When the accident hit, they wanted to pin it on me, make me the fall guy. My eyes widened, the air in the room thickening. So you're a criminal? I asked, my voice trembling. No! Jack nearly shouted, then lowered his voice, as if afraid someone might hear. I didn't do anything wrong, Emily, but if I'd stayed, they'd have destroyed me, my career, my name, everything. I ran before they could act. I came to Haven Bay to start over, to leave it all behind, but it looks like they've found me. I stepped back, my heart heavy. His story sounded sincere, but fear made me hesitate. Who was that man? I demanded. The one at Rusty Anchor? Jack shook his head, his eyes helpless. I don't know. Maybe someone from Grayson, maybe just a nosy bastard. But I swear, Emily, I didn't come here to hurt you. I just wanted a chance to live again. That night, I didn't sleep. I stood by the window, staring at the sea, wondering if I should trust Jack or flee from him and from myself. I thought of Anna, her letter, the years I'd locked my heart away. But deep down, I knew I didn't want to return to that loneliness, not anymore. A few days later, I decided to face the past. I tracked down Anna's old house, an hour's drive from Haven Bay, where she'd lived before she died. Jack agreed to come, though tension hung between us like a storm cloud. The house was abandoned, windows shattered, paint peeling, but a kind neighbour, Clara, recognised me. She handed me a small wooden box, saying Anna had left it with instructions. If Emily Harper comes, give her this. Inside was a worn leather journal and a small silver bracelet, the gift I'd given Anna in college. I sat in the car beside Jack, my hands trembling as I opened the journal. Anna's sharp handwriting filled the pages, recounting our friendship. The times she tried to reach me, but I pushed her away. The years she grappled with her own pain. She wrote about Jack, how she knew he'd been haunted by a woman he met in Seattle me. But her final words stopped my breath. Emily, if Jack finds you, give him a chance. Not for me, but for you. I know you're scared to love again. but don't let fear steal your happiness. Live, Emily. Really live. I closed the journal, tears streaming down my cheeks. Jack sat silently beside me, waiting, like a man awaiting judgment. "What would you do if I told you to leave?" I asked, my voice hoarse with emotion. Jack gave a sad smile, his blue eyes glinting in the sunset. "I'd go, but I hope you won't." I took a deep breath, feeling my heart break free from its storm. "I'm not promising anything, Jack," I said softly. "But stay. We can try." He nodded, and for the first time I saw true light in his eyes. Not grief, not caution, but hope. We drove back to Haven Bay as the sun sank, the sea calm beneath a crimson sky. The storm had passed, but a new journey was beginning. I didn't know what the future held. The stranger from Rusty Anchor might return, and Jack's past could catch up. But this time I chose to face it, not run. I looked at the sea, clutching Anna's bracelet, and smiled. For the first time in years I felt alive, truly alive.